I now invite Dr. Kameswari, Director of our Institute, to propose vote of thanks.
For the past 1.5 hours, or nearly 2 hours, we have had a talk that has been entirely different from normally what we hear. We are academicians. We analyze anything threadbare academically. We have been contacting all those academicians over there abroad. We understand them from the academic point of view, but we were not very sure of their grounds, as you have pointed out. Of course, we see their writings, the language is entirely different, as you say. We used to wonder why such a nonsense they are writing. What we will write in single sentence, they would take at least 3 pages to write. And it is all again repeating and repeating. We never had the patience to go through it. Unless I saw your book, I read your book, I never had an inkling of what Sheldon Pollock would do, or people like Sheldon Pollock would do. That's the truth. It was a jolt to me. Sheldon Pollock is revered in Chicago University as Dr. Raghavan of Chicago. And Dr. Raghavan is a person who has been revered here. He had the international repute. And he has, like you, in many of his articles, has thrashed people who misunderstand and misinterpret Indian ideologies, and Sanskrit, even simple sentences were misunderstood and written awfully in those days. Incidentally, I remember when we were doing a thesis on dream, we were referring to Sayanacharya, 10th century AD, and then we were also taking references from the Western translations, because we sent it to Western authors also for evaluation. For the word swap, you have the meaning sleep as well as dream. Winternitz writes that Sayana is wrong because this intonation Udatta or Anudatta or Swarita, this intonation gives the meaning only sleep and not dream. But Sayana in his commentary gives more details. It has not been taken outrightly when it says Sayana is wrong. So from those days onwards, they had so much, shall I say, affront or rather arrogance to condemn our own people. But academically, we never grudge them that liberty. We take it, and then we in turn say, you are wrong, we are following Sayana. For us, Indian, Sayana is more important than you, and I interpret it as only Swapna and not as sleep. But this has been going on, as he has rightly pointed out, but we are never aware of the seriousness of the problem which he has brought out today. Even when Igal Bronner was writing an article on Sleshakavya, only Sleshakavya, those are kavyas with double meanings. One reading will give Ramayana, another reading will give Mahabharata, or there are even Raghava, Yadava, Pandavya, all 3 stories in one thing. In that he writes, quoting Sheldon Pollock, that these, now that you had been telling, I was reminded of that article, these Sleshakavyas were condemned as not very relishable, because the trend of the time was to revere Kalidasa and other people, and these have been put down. I don't remember the same word, but I remember the shade of the meaning that is being given as putting down the Shudra and elevating the Brahmana or something like that. Here also in poetry he was giving such a figure. That impression I remember now. Something serious. At the same time, I do not know what we could do. Here in Tamil Nadu, more than anywhere in India, we are fighting to survive. At least to say Sanskrit is a great liberty for us. So in such a situation, we are surviving with this institution which is 100 years old and our institution 70 years old. It's a great task for us. And if the path is shown, we are not hesitant, we are not lethargic, but we are not aware of so many things that are happening, because we are fighting our day-to-day fight, which makes us makes it very, very difficult for us to think of other things. So if such things are brought to our notice, definitely we will lend our hands, we will lend our support. We will think about them seriously. We know, we understand the difficulty. We have had the inklings of it. Say by about 15 years, by the turn of this century, there had been a lot of change in the reaction of the Westerners to our writings. We see that. At the same time, there is a different thing that we see them as students. They are very, very sincere. When they are doing the work, we are sincere. None of our students can beat them in that. None of our students are very sincere in understanding a text. They are very sincere. But once they go back, they are trained differently. I also see that. When they write back articles, we see the difference. When they were reading here, they were really good gems of scholars. I will not say no to that. Igal Brano was a gem. Gem of a person, gem of a scholar. But when they go there, as he says, they are trained in the literarization of the language. And their language, you cannot understand what they are coming to say, finally. So you will have to read again and again. By that time, you will be mesmerized by that language. And you will see a different viewpoint of. So I promise you, as a head of the institution, that we will definitely cooperate with you, provided you tell us the problems. We do not know the problems. So you tell us the problems, you give us the Purva Paksha, we will give you the Siddhanta, we can shatter, no doubt about it. But we are ignorant of so many things. You will have to make us be aware of it. So with those words, I take leave of every one of you, and I thank the speaker. I request our president to honor him with some of our publications. Our publications will show how serious we are and how diligent we are in working for Sanskrit. Thank you all.
Newton, if it is proven that Newton was a badmash, he was a scoundrel, then aeroplane will not start falling down because gravitation is gone. The nature of reality is independent of how somebody is understanding it.